James is up there with the greatest players of all time.
Yes. I will, depends on how you see, because according to the position that he plays, I don't, when people start comparing him with Jordan, then that's not a fair comparison. Because, Jordan is far more superior player and a very, very tough league and very, very, very creative.
Sure.
I mean, that's not taking anything away from LeBron James because he's a great player, but it's not a fair comparison because I think Jordan is much far superior player.
Guys score that many baskets and they lose, but I know we started Dennis Johnson out on him, and then we went with Danny Ainge, myself, which it was really easy then when I started guarding him. Then Bill Walton, and we was trying to run him to help all the time, but he had his outside shot going so well that he really didn't need to penetrate that much.
Got it! 63 for Jordan!
What do you remember about playing him when you guys were on the floor and he was guarding you and you were guarding him, and they had, I'm sure, some terrific shootouts over the years between just the two of you?
Looking back over 18 years, you'd have thought that Michael and I, the Bulls and the Pacers, would have played more than once in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We only played once, and it was that epic 7-game series. You're measured by your competition. He is clearly, and in my opinion, the best basketball player I've ever seen to date. And I knew that I had to bring it each and every time I stepped on the court when I was going against MJ.
Were you friends?
No.
Now Michael Jordan and Reggie Miller having a go at it. And I mean, we got fist throwing. Here come the benches. Bo Hill is out there. Bill Jackson's going out there. There'll be fines handed out all over the place here. But more importantly, what in the world ignited this?
We weren't friends.
Talk to each other on the floor?
He might have been the one player I didn't talk to.
Really?
Yeah. Because he might have been the one player who could really embarrass you.
And he could come back at you pretty good too.
Yeah, he could come right back at you. I wanted what he had. Him being the best, the championships. So I watched, I listened, and I tried to learn a lot by playing against him.
And what did you learn? What couple things you took away from what he did or how he played or how he acted?
He is cut from the same mold as Magic Johnson. And when I say that, and Larry Bird, all three of those players, win by any means necessary. And they will do whatever it takes on the court to win a game.
And you adopted that?
I tried to adopt that, yeah. You had to be textbook when you played the Bulls and you played against Michael.
Reg, it's interesting because I think when you think of Jordan, you think about the dunks. You were a shooter.
Our games were vastly contrast. His was more power, dunking. Mine was more shooting, finesse. But for some reason, I think my style at times irritated him because I was in constant motion. He used his power to control players and to keep them where he wanted them.
He had great torque.
Yes, he did.
Just the way
and let me say this about Michael. Probably, if not one of the smartest basketball players. You talk about his ability to be athletic and all that, but he was a very smart basketball player.
He thought the game through.
Yes.
You thought the game through.
And he knew what your weaknesses were, and he tried to exploit them.
How good is your team?
Is LeBron entering Michael Jordan territory?
LeBron James is a great player. He's a great player in this era, but he's not Michael Jordan. It's two different animals. Michael was a killer. He's an assassin. LeBron is more of a facilitator. He's the guy that you're gonna give the ball, and he's thinking shoot first before pass. Where Michael, you give him the ball, he's thinking he's gonna score 50 on you, and then he's gonna pass.
You and Jordan were the two best wing players of that era. What was it like to compete against him?
Oh, he's a phenomenal competitor. When you love the game and you play to compete, when you play players like that, you don't have to do anything to get up for the game. You're so psyched. The moment I wake up, I'm ready.
Yeah.
But, it's hard playing the teams that are a little subpar or players who, you don't have to get a whole lot of rest for.
Yeah.
But players are good, that's what you live for. so it was a treat.
that 90, was it 92 when you guys played them in the finals?
We played the Bulls in '92. I think that was my 9th or 10th year in the league.
Yeah.
And it was a good final. Bulls had a really good team. I think they ended up winning like 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The storyline became that Jordan was going at you. Did you finish ahead of him in MVP? It was some.
It was a battle for MVP voting that year, and
who won it that year?
He won it that year. I think I came in second.
Yeah, it was close.
Very close. Very close.
Did you take it as, was it a personal matchup with you and Jordan? Not just that finals, but in general when you guys met each other. But because you were the two best at your position, did you feel like it was personal battle every time you faced him?
Well, Chris, when you're a competitor, I mean, we weren't enemies. I know he's going to come at me, and guess what? He knows I'm coming at him.
Yeah.
I'm going to play my game. If you get in my way, I'm going to knock your nose off.
Yeah.
Same way with him. We're going to compete. But really, it comes down.
So, John, you faced Reggie Miller and Michael Jordan a combined 101 times.
Was it that many?
So the only player who played Michael more in the playoffs was Isaiah Thomas. So here's what Michael said about you in retrospect. He said, "I love John Starks. He was really a competitor. He really tried to challenge me. But I think that he knew when he was guarding me, he was overmatched." What did you think of Michael Jordan and of Reggie Miller?
Oh, man. Obviously, Michael is the greatest in my book. Being able to play him and growing up watching him play in college, and getting the opportunity to play him, while I was in pros was a highlight of my career. One thing about him, and Antonio can probably attest to, is just his will to win. I think that's what made him so great. And, you already know when you're going into a game against Michael Jordan and a Michael Jordan team that you had to play your very best in order to beat him. And some point in that game, you know that he's going to take over the game. And you have to be able to play him as hard as possible. I always say, my mentality was when I took the court against Michael Jordan is that I'm going to go out there and make him work for every single point. And that's what I tried to do. You couldn't stop him. And all you can do is just try to frustrate him, and hopefully that was enough. But normally that wasn't enough. But, like I say, just going out and competing against him every single day, lift my game up to a whole another level. And most guys that played against him enjoy that aspect of playing against him because you know that he was going to come at you every single night. He's probably one of the few players that you can say was on top of his game every single night. And when he wasn't on top of his game, he hitting you for 30. And when he was on top of his game, like he was a couple of nights, he hit you for 55. So people say, did you ever talk noise against Michael Jordan? I never talked noise against Michael Jordan because you don't want to